In today's story, a woman receives devastating fertility news and discovers that the clinic never sent it, and her husband already knew. Before we begin, settle in and enjoy tonight's story. My husband used my voice to cancel our fertility treatment. The email said my fertility treatment had been cancelled because my latest results showed I was unlikely to respond safely. I read it 3 times before I understood what it was telling me. The message came from the clinic's name and logo. It referred to my patient number, my consultant, and the blood tests I had completed 4 days earlier. It said the medical team had reviewed my results and concluded that continuing the cycle would expose me to unnecessary risk with a poor chance of success. My medication appointment was cancelled. My treatment plan was closed. A final invoice would follow. I was sitting at the kitchen table when I opened it. My husband Ryan was upstairs showering. For 6 months, our lives had been organized around that clinic. Blood tests, scans, medication schedules, financial consent forms, phone calls during lunch breaks. Conversations about embryos, timing, risk, and money. We had already delayed treatment once because of a cyst. I had spent the previous week convincing myself the new cycle would finally begin. Instead, one email ended it. Ryan came downstairs 20 minutes later wearing jeans and a navy jacket I had never seen before. I was still at the table. He took one look at me and stopped. What happened? I turned the laptop toward him. He read the email without touching the screen. His face tightened, then softened into an expression I recognized from funerals. "I'm sorry," he said. "That was the first thing that felt wrong, not because it was unkind, because it was too immediate." He did not ask whether I had called the clinic. He did not ask what result had changed. He did not say the doctor's name or question why nobody had spoken to us first. He accepted the email before I had. "What does unlikely to respond safely mean?" I asked. "I don't know. They told us the scan looked fine. Blood work can change things. You don't know that." He sat opposite me. "We knew this might happen. No, we had known treatment might fail. We had not been told that I might suddenly become medically unsuitable between a reassuring scan and a routine blood test." I called the clinic. Their phone system said the office had closed for staff training and would reopen the following morning. Ryan offered to make tea. I asked where he had been going. He looked down at his jacket. "Nowhere, you're dressed." "I was going to get groceries. At 9 at night, we are out of coffee." We were not out of coffee. He took the jacket off and placed it over a chair. A square logo had been stitched onto the chest and then partly covered with black tape. I assumed it belonged to an old employer. At the time, I had larger questions. I barely slept. The email sat open on my phone while Ryan lay beside me breathing too evenly. At 8 the next morning, I called the clinic again. The receptionist found my file. Then she said, "Your treatment plan is still active." I thought I had misheard her. "I received an email saying it was cancelled. There is no cancellation letter on your record. It said the medical team reviewed my blood results. Your consultant has not reviewed them yet." I opened the message while she spoke. The sender appeared as Westbridge Fertility Care. When I expanded the address, it was not the clinic's domain. The real clinic ended in Westbridge Fertility, Co. UK. The email came from Westbridge Fertility Care, Co. UK. The difference was small enough to disappear on a phone screen. I asked whether the clinic had another domain. They did not. The receptionist transferred me to the treatment coordinator. The coordinator confirmed that my medication appointment had been cancelled, but not by the clinic. Someone had called the previous afternoon and withdrawn consent on my behalf. The caller knew my patient number, date of birth, address, medication plan, and the answer to my security question. The clinic had marked the treatment as patient cancelled. "Who called?" I asked. "The record says you did." "I didn't." She became cautious. The nurse spoke directly with a woman. "What did she say?" "That you had reconsidered treatment for personal and financial reasons." I looked across the kitchen. Ryan stood near the sink pretending not to listen. The coordinator said the call had been recorded for quality and consent purposes. I asked her to preserve it. Then I asked whether the treatment could be restored. She said the medication slot had been released and the clinic would need to investigate before accepting new consent. The cycle might be delayed by another month. When I ended the call, Ryan asked what they had said. They didn't send the email. His expression barely changed. What? Someone called pretending to be me? That makes no sense. The caller knew everything. Could it have been an administrative mix-up? They recorded it. Ryan folded his arms. Maybe you called and forgot. I stared at him. He looked away first. The clinic told me my treatment was still medically approved. They had never sent the cancellation email. Someone had called the previous afternoon, answered every security question, and withdrawn consent in my name. The nurse believed she had spoken directly to me because the woman on the recording sounded exactly like me. I asked Ryan to open our clinic account. He said he did not remember the password. We had created it together. He usually handled payments because he earned more than I did and had insisted that the financial side was one burden he could take from me. I reset the password. The account showed 3 failed payment attempts over the previous 6 weeks. The first was for medication storage. The second was for laboratory fees. The third was the final balance required before treatment began. Each attempt used our joint account. Each had been declined. I opened the banking app. Our treatment savings account should have contained almost £14,000. It contained £812. I refreshed it. The number did not change. There were dozens of transfers to our current account, usually in amounts between £300 and £900. From there, the money disappeared into ordinary expenses: mortgage, utilities, insurance, groceries, credit card payments. Nothing looked extravagant. That made it worse. The fertility money had not funded an affair or a holiday. It had been keeping our normal life alive. I asked Ryan where the money had gone. He said he had moved it temporarily because several direct debits hit at once. £14,000 does not disappear because the electricity bill was high. I was going to put it back. With what? My bonus. What bonus? He said nothing. Ryan worked as an operations manager for a packaging company. He had held the job for 7 years. His salary covered most of the mortgage and allowed us to save for treatment without borrowing. He had left for work every weekday morning. He complained about suppliers, traffic, and meetings. He brought home stories about his director and the warehouse team. I asked to see his latest pay statement. He became angry. Not explosive, defensive. He said I was treating him like a criminal because of one suspicious email. I said the clinic had received a call in my voice. He said voice systems made mistakes. I said our savings were gone. He said marriage meant shared money. I asked again for the pay statement. He picked up the taped jacket and left the house. I followed him to the driveway. His company car was gone. He had replaced it 3 months earlier with a silver hatchback and told me the firm was reducing fleet costs. Now I noticed insulated delivery bags folded behind the passenger seat. A phone mount was attached to the dashboard. The taped logo on the jacket matched the delivery bags. Ryan was doing delivery work. He drove away before I could stop him. I called his office. The receptionist said Ryan no longer worked there. She sounded surprised that I did not know. His employment had ended almost 5 months earlier. I asked whether he had resigned. There was a pause. She said she could not discuss personnel details. I called one of his former colleagues, a man named Peter who had been at our wedding. Peter did not answer. He sent a message instead. I'm sorry. Ryan asked us not to contact you. He said you were dealing with health issues and needed stability. That was the second false story Ryan had built around my fertility treatment. At the clinic, I was the woman who had changed her mind. At his old workplace, I was the fragile wife who could not be told the truth. I searched the house. It felt invasive, even after everything I had discovered. Ryan's work bag was still in the hall cupboard. It contained old notebooks, a broken charger, and a sealed envelope from his employer. The letter said his position had been terminated following a restructuring process. There was a settlement payment. It had been deposited into our joint account 5 months earlier, then moved into the treatment savings account. That was why the balance had once looked healthy. Part of the fertility fund had never been savings at all. It was severance money disguised as progress. Ryan had spent months using the account as a substitute salary while pretending to go to work. The delivery driving explained the jacket, the late evenings, and the mileage on the car. It did not explain the voice. I checked our shared computer. Ryan had deleted most of his browser history, but the downloads folder contained audio files. Some were clips of me speaking, a birthday video, a voice note about groceries, a recording from a clinic webinar where I had asked a question, a clip from a work presentation I gave remotely. There was also a folder labeled tests. Inside were short recordings in my voice saying my full name, my voice saying my date of birth, my voice saying, I need to cancel the appointment, my voice saying, this is my decision. The sentences sounded almost right. The tone was flatter than mine, but the resemblance was unmistakable. Ryan had used an AI voice tool. He had collected recordings from our phones, shared videos, and the clinic webinar, then generated enough speech to impersonate me. The cancellation call had not been made by another woman. It had been played through software. When Ryan returned after midnight, I had the laptop open on the table. He stopped in the doorway. I played one of the test files. My artificial voice said, I no longer consent to treatment. Ryan closed his eyes. That was his confession before he spoke. He said he had only meant to delay the cycle. He said the clinic was about to collect the final payment and there was not enough money. He said he panicked. So you told me I was medically unsuitable. I needed you to stop asking questions. You made me think my body had failed. I was trying to buy time. You used my voice. The software was easy. The casualness of that sentence frightened me, not because the act had been easy, because he had treated ease as permission. I asked how long he had been unemployed. He said 5 months. I asked where he went every morning. At first, he drove to cafes and applied for jobs. Later, he began delivery driving during the day and evening. Some weeks he earned enough to cover groceries and fuel. Other weeks he earned almost nothing after expenses. He had applied for dozens of management roles and received 2 interviews. He told nobody. Why not tell me? I asked. Because treatment would have stopped. It has stopped. I thought I could fix it before you knew. That was Ryan's governing belief. A problem did not become real until I knew about it. If he replaced the money before the clinic charged us, then the savings had never been gone. If he found a new job before the next pay cycle, then he had never been unemployed. If he delayed treatment by 1 month, then he had not cancelled it. He had merely moved reality to a date when he expected to be stronger. My husband had lost his job 5 months earlier. Every morning, he left the house as if he were going to the office, then spent the day delivering food in a taped-over uniform. He used his severance payment to make our fertility savings look intact, then quietly drained the account to keep paying the mortgage. I asked whether the fake clinic email had been his idea from the beginning. He said no. The clinic called after the final payment failed. He answered because his number was listed as my emergency contact. They said the cycle could not begin without payment. He asked them to delay it. They said only I could withdraw consent. That was when he created the voice. The first version sounded poor. He spent 2 nights improving it while I slept beside him. He called the clinic from a hidden number and played responses through his laptop. The nurse asked security questions. Ryan knew every answer. Then he realized the clinic might contact me directly. So he registered the fake domain and created the medical cancellation email. He copied language from genuine clinic messages and added a false explanation that made further questions feel painful. He had chosen the one reason he thought I would be too devastated to investigate. That was the part I could not absorb. The cancellation was not merely concealment. It was designed around my fear. I told him to leave. Ryan said the house was his too. I said he could sleep anywhere except near me. He packed a bag and went to his brother's flat. The following morning, the clinic sent me the call recording through its legal department. It was worse than the test files. The generated voice contained my rhythm, my slight northern accent, and the way I shortened certain words when nervous. The nurse asked whether I was certain. The voice said, "Yes, this is not something I can continue with." The nurse offered counseling support. The voice said no. Ryan had scripted me refusing help. The clinic opened an internal fraud investigation and restored my treatment status, but the cycle was lost. Medication timing meant I had to wait. They also reviewed their consent procedures because the caller had passed every security question and sounded convincing. From then on, cancellations required secure written confirmation inside the patient portal. I contacted a solicitor. The solicitor said Ryan's use of the voice recording, fake email domain, and clinic identity could potentially involve several criminal and civil issues. She advised me to preserve everything. I did. I copied the test files, browser records, bank transfers, employer letter, and fake email headers. Then I found a second financial problem. The treatment account was not the only place money had disappeared. Ryan had opened 2 credit cards in his own name and accumulated nearly £23,000 of debt. Most of it was ordinary spending: mortgage shortfalls, council tax, car insurance, fuel. Minimum payments on the other card, but several transactions went to a betting company. I confronted him by phone. He admitted that after losing his job, he began betting on football accumulators. At first, the amounts were small. Then he won £1,800 in one weekend. That win convinced him he could replace the fertility money quickly. He increased the bets. He lost the winnings, then lost another £6,000. The delivery driving did not fund our household. Much of it serviced debt created by his attempt to hide the original loss. The story changed again. Ryan had not simply been protecting me from financial stress. He had gambled part of our remaining money while pretending every sacrifice was temporary. His brother called me and asked whether I could avoid involving police. He said Ryan had suffered enough. I asked whether losing his job was the real reason for dismissal. His brother went quiet. The restructuring letter was genuine, but it did not tell the whole story. Ryan had been selected for redundancy after an internal review found repeated discrepancies in warehouse performance reports. He had altered delayed order figures to make his department look more efficient. The company allowed him to leave under a settlement agreement rather than pursue disciplinary proceedings. He had already been rewriting reality at work before he did it at home. That was the midpoint reversal. I had believed Ryan's deception began with unemployment and shame. It began earlier. Losing the job was not an isolated disaster that changed him. It was the consequence of the same behavior I was now seeing: conceal the weak number, move the date, alter the explanation, and hope the real result becomes irrelevant. The next complication came from our mortgage. Ryan had missed 2 payments and arranged temporary reduced payments without telling me. The lender had sent letters electronically to an address only he accessed. Our home was not yet at risk, but the account was in arrears. I had enough savings in my personal emergency fund to correct it, but doing so would leave me unable to restart treatment. Ryan proposed selling the car, consolidating the cards, and using his pension settlement to restore the fertility account. He spoke as though the problem remained arithmetic. I told him I was considering divorce. He cried. It was the first time he allowed himself to appear frightened. He said he had done everything because he knew how much becoming a mother meant to me. I said, "You cancelled my treatment. I delayed it. You told me my body was unsafe." I didn't know what else to say. "You could have said you lost your job and watched you lose hope in me." That was the real motive, not protecting treatment, protecting the version of himself inside our marriage. Ryan needed to remain the reliable husband who paid the mortgage, handled the money, and carried the practical burden while I endured the medical one. Once his job disappeared, he could either tell me that identity was gone or construct a world in which it still existed. He chose construction. The fake email did not merely say the payment had failed. It said my test results made treatment unsafe. My husband chose the one explanation he believed would make me too devastated to call the clinic. He did not only hide the missing money, he used my fear of infertility as part of the cover story. Ryan made a countermove after I stopped answering his calls. He contacted both families and told them I was ending the marriage because he had been made redundant. His mother called me cruel. She said men sometimes hid unemployment because they were ashamed and that marriage required compassion. My own sister asked whether I was reacting while emotionally overwhelmed by treatment. Nobody initially knew about the copied voice. Ryan described that as a stupid technical mistake. I sent my sister the recording. She listened to 30 seconds and stopped. After that, she came to stay with me. Ryan's mother continued defending him until the clinic's legal team contacted him directly. Then he admitted the fake email and voice call to her. Her position changed from denial to minimization. She said no treatment had actually happened, so no physical harm was done. That sentence ended my willingness to explain. The major reveal came when I reviewed the fake clinic domain. The domain had been registered 3 weeks before the failed final payment. Ryan had told me he created the voice after the clinic called. The dates proved otherwise. He had begun preparing the cancellation before the account was rejected. I checked the treatment savings transfers. 3 weeks before registering the domain, Ryan had moved £4,500 from the account to pay one of his credit cards. The transfer left too little for the upcoming cycle. He knew then that the treatment would fail. The clinic's payment call did not trigger the plan. It activated a plan already built. Even worse, the browser history showed he had searched fertility treatment, cancelled, poor response, email wording, clinic, ovarian response, unsafe treatment, how to copy email domain, AI voice from short recording. He had researched the medical explanation before my latest blood test was even taken. For weeks, he sat beside me while I discussed medication and appointments, knowing he had already designed the message that would end them. That evidence changed my final plan. Until then, part of me had considered whether counseling and financial controls could save the marriage. The preparation showed that this was not panic. Panic happens in minutes. Ryan had rehearsed. I arranged for him to collect his remaining belongings while my sister and solicitor were present. He arrived expecting another negotiation. I placed printed copies of the domain registration, search history, and bank transfers on the table. He read the first page and stopped. "You planned it," I said. He claimed he had only researched possibilities. "You researched how to tell me I was medically unsuitable before I had the blood test. I was desperate. You listened to me talk about whether the treatment might work while you were writing the rejection." He said nothing. I asked him to sign an agreement giving me temporary control of the mortgage account and preventing further borrowing against joint assets while the separation was arranged. He refused at first. Then my solicitor explained that the evidence would otherwise be included in an urgent court application. Ryan signed. The active confrontation was quieter than I had imagined. No shouting, no dramatic confession, just a man reading the dates of his own decisions in the order he made them. The police investigated the impersonation and fraudulent communications after the clinic made a report. Ryan eventually received charges connected to the false electronic communication and misuse of my identity. The legal outcome was limited compared with the damage. He entered a guilty plea, received a suspended sentence, and was ordered to complete unpaid work and pay costs. The gambling debt remained his. We sold the house during the divorce. After arrears, fees, and the mortgage balance, there was less equity than I expected. My share allowed me to rent a smaller flat and preserve some treatment savings, but not enough to resume immediately. The clinic offered counseling and reduced certain fees because its verification process had accepted the cloned call. I appreciated the gesture without pretending it repaired anything. 9 months after the fake email, I restarted treatment alone using donor sperm. That was not the future I had planned. I had to complete new counseling sessions and new consent forms because every assumption about parenthood had changed. The treatment did not work on the first cycle. That failure hurt differently. It was real. No one had manufactured the result. No one had hidden an invoice or written a false explanation. The clinic called me directly, and I knew the voice on the phone belonged to an actual nurse. I tried again 4 months later. That cycle produced one viable embryo. I did not become pregnant. There was no perfect ending waiting behind the betrayal. What I gained was smaller and more practical. Control over what happened next. Ryan continued delivery driving for a while, then found a warehouse job in another town. Through solicitors, he apologized several times. His apologies focused on fear. He was afraid I would leave when he lost his job, afraid treatment would stop, afraid his family would know, afraid the debt would surface. All of those fears came true because of what he did to avoid them. I still have the fake email. It sits in an evidence folder beside the generated voice files. Sometimes I open it and notice how professionally it was written. The logo was aligned. The patient number was correct. The language sounded compassionate. That was what made it effective. The lie did not arrive looking cruel. It arrived looking clinical. For several hours, I believed a medical team had examined my body and concluded that hope itself had become unsafe. The truth was simpler. My husband had lost his job, lost our money, and lost control of the story he wanted me to believe. So he used my own voice to make the decision for me.
You've been listening to Low Light Stories, original fiction for late-night listening. New stories are added regularly, so subscribe if you'd like to hear the next one. Thanks for listening.